Have you ever read a book that when you finish reading it, you're like, what did I just read? Or you just constantly keep thinking about it? Well, that's what I have been experiencing since I finished reading All's Well by Mona Awad. And this novel is about a theater professor who is struggling with chronic pain, illness, and she is trying to put on a production of one of Shakespeare's lesser known plays and lesser performed plays, All's Well That Ends Well. And the novel itself is sort of set up like a Shakespeare play because the novel is in three different parts. And Shakespeare's plays, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not a Shakespeare expert, are 3-act plays. So it kind of it follows that same structure. Many of the elements of Shakespeare plays, like repetition of phrasing and elements of magic, talking about witches, comedy as well as tragedy over in Shakespearean plays, are also in this novel. I thought that this novel was unique because of the chronic illness aspect of it, because at the very beginning you're trying to figure out, should I have sympathy for the main character? Her name is Miranda, and since she's a professor, she's trying to do this. She's in this not necessarily high pressure, but she's doing this thing of trying to put together this play using college students. So she's a former actress, and at the same time she's trying to deal with her chronic illness. So you're in her head. The author, she uses a lot of internal dialogue for you to see what is going on in the story. However, by the second part of the novel, the story starts to shift and a magical realism element enters into the story. So those of you who have followed along with me for a while, magical realism is not my thing. Fantasy, all that magic, I don't really do. But I was intrigued by it, and I kept reading it. But eventually, that magical realism almost for me felt like voodoo. I'm from the South, and we hear about people using voodoo. Those of us in the black community, they even call it working roots, all kind of dark magic to do things, and that enters into the story. So by the end, I was reading like, what's real, what's fantasy, how did we get here? Was my response to the novel. So as you can see from the cover of, I don't know if you can see the cover, that I had an electronic copy because I received a copy from the publisher via NetGalley. I was contacted by the publisher to read the book. The cover of the book has the comedy tragedy mask that is known for theater on the front, and it is made up of pills. Since she's a chronic illness patient, you get to see she's constantly popping pills at the beginning of the novel. Miranda is. So the cover very much matches the story. And when I showed the cover to my sister, she was like, that is scary looking. And several people after I posted on Instagram sent me DM messages saying, that cover is spooky. So I went into this thinking I'm reading a literary fiction, but it could actually probably maybe even be close to bordering on a horror novel. That's what I'm saying. I keep going back to this story because I'm thinking, okay, it was magical realism, it was literary fiction, it was horror. It could be considered horror. I'm not even sure if it's a retelling of All's Well That Ends Well, because I've never read the play, which wasn't an issue because the author does a great job of incorporating lines from the play, giving a plot, because you're seeing the students that she's working with trying to put on this play. So having had to read that play before the book is not necessary. It's just reading it has left me with a lot of questions on what did I read. And it was definitely outside of my comfort zone. But I'm glad I read it because it challenged my mind on thinking about how literature can be done. I think this would be a great book for book clubs to discuss because there are so many themes going through it, especially one that may have a book club that has looked at Shakespearean plays before. This probably would be an excellent discussion book for a book club. People that enjoy theater, those who like books set on college campuses, because you do get this element of what she's going through being a professor, as well as someone who likes to delve into magical realism. You can definitely get all those points from this book. If you've read All's Well by Mona Awad or plan on reading it, please let me know. I hope you have a great, great day.